the flow.
All right, my friends, today is October the 21st. It is Monday, a couple hours into the New York session. Let's go ahead and dive straight into the market outlook and plans for the week ahead. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with the Bitcoin macro. There's no major updates that need to be had, just more or less waiting for our higher time frame plan to either play out or show us some signs of invalidation. As it stands, the Q4 bullish scenario is very much intact. There are a few worrying signs towards the medium time frame horizon, but we will address that later on. So as far as I'm concerned, the Q4 thesis is very much locked in. The structure overall that we have developing looks pretty good. So essentially you're just waiting for this pullback to stop. It's largely being led by Binance and Coinbase sellers. So once the spot unwind is over, whether that dip is, already completed at 67, or maybe we go a little bit lower towards 66, 65, something like that. Ultimately, right now, I'm not super sure. From reading the flows this morning, it does look like the selling is starting to fall off, but that doesn't mean that they won't pick up again in a few hours, getting closer to the end of the New York session. So basically just going to be watching Bitcoin flows very, very closely today and tomorrow, and looking for that reason to bet on the next leg up, basically. So, yeah, we have the structure argument. Structure looks really healthy overall. Kind of cover this on medium time frame as well, but really liking this structural argument, right, where we've got the higher lows and the higher highs. That is the classic, structure argument that everyone's going to care about. If you're interested in gaining access to the spaghetti template and learning how to properly utilize it, you should consider joining the Paragon group. What else? The next kind of main thing that I'm looking for is once this bleed is over, this compression is getting really tight, right? We are triangle memeing our way, so really I think that I don't really know how far we're going to bleed. It really just depends on when these spot sellers are through. I don't really think that the leverage buildup is that much of a significant threat to us right now. If we are going to unwind, it's going to happen off the back of this move. So essentially, I think we're just coiling up into this macro resistance, right? 69K or 70K, whatever you want to call it. That's the main battle line right now for bulls. So that's what it looks like. Definitely, it's a good sign for us that we're coiling up in this way. Ultimately, regardless of which way we break up or down, at least we're going to get some legitimate, trend volatility here in the not so distant future. We can't get that much tighter. So yeah, overall feel pretty good about that. The kind of final closing thoughts on high time frame are the significance of the election should not be written off by anybody, right? The probability of a fuck you move is very high in my opinion, and likely has already begun, right? This is the beginning of the fuck you move. How low we go, we could already be done trading down, and that could be the low, right? I'm not going to sit here and try to predict the low, because you guys know that I have the principal belief that predicting, future flows is illogical, right? There's no way that I can tell when somebody's going to click buy or sell in 4 hours, right? So I don't know when the low is going to be in. I just know that I feel very confident overall about the continuation of the structuring. So I'll do my best to update in the group when the next kind of local low is in. I'll do an ad for everybody when I think that that's in and it's time to bet. Okay. So yeah, really, I think that the main question for everybody right now is, should you be aggressively positioned into the election or not? I think that being overly confident one way or the other is pretty foolish. I feel confident that we're going to resolve upwards in the long run, but we could absolutely have some brutal moves in the short term. Let's do a little bit of a dive into some medium time frame, and then we'll move over into positioning and alts. So medium time frame, a few different things to discuss. We're now at an almost an 8-month range. So this is probably, I think that this is the largest composite structuring I've ever seen in Bitcoin. I'm actually pretty confident that it is. I think that the only other composite structures that really match up to this one would be the 2020, the beginning of 2022 to mid 2022, this comp, and maybe the summertime comp from 2021. But apart from that, right, it's not really that common that you have these multi-month composite structures like this. So this is definitely outside the norm a little bit. The compression and the reclaim argument, it looks really good, right? This medium time frame structure, very optimistic about this. So ultimately, if I had to predict where the buy the dip zone would be, it's basically where we're at now, between 67 and change and 65 and a half. So this is the structure that should hold. If this doesn't hold, then that means that we end up trading a lot lower, in my opinion, right? So we want to see this round out and build a bottom base, you know, whether it looks ugly like this one, or maybe it looks a little bit more clean like one of these ones. Who knows, right? Okay, let me check back with the notes. Yeah, so like I said, 70K is the, you know, this is another reason why I was worried, right? This is the yearly value area high as well as the 8-month composite structuring high. So definitely don't think that we're just going to blast through this level without some sort of pullback. I think that most likely the two scenarios that you should be prepared for, or maybe we can call it three. Let's just go ahead and run through some of those. Us just going right through this is like the lowest probability, right? Most likely what us trading through this will look like is either A, the compression argument, or we just get really, really tight, which I would consider this low probability because the elections. So most likely what happens is that we get like fuck you into dolly breakout, right? So we do something like this is probably more of a, you know, high probability as opposed to us just trading up, right? That's basically, you know, this is going to be the lowest probability for sure. Outside of elections, the compression would be the most likely, but because of the elections, I think the high vol move is the most probable. So that's how I'm viewing, you know, the probabilities right now, essentially. That's pretty much it, right? That's pretty much it for medium time frame. TLDR, I think buying the dip is massively plus EV. Wait for the dip to be established. I really don't think that you need to be the hero that buys into it early. I'm very optimistic about Solana. This has been, you know, the backbone of my portfolio for a long time. Making the switch this cycle to Solana instead of ETH, right, was one of the best moves I've made in a long time. It's a really simple decision, but it's had massive, you know, massively positive impact on my performance this cycle. Anybody that followed this traditional, you know, portfolio balancing of partially ETH, partially Bitcoin, you go more ETH if you want to be more risk, right? More Bitcoin, lower risk, right? You just literally take ETH out of that equation or replace it with Solana and boom. So I'm very happy with Solana. Overall, nothing negative to say. It will probably continue to be the backbone of my portfolio. And yeah, very happy with it overall. Apart from that, one note I really wanted to make is that whenever blood comes through, this represents a significant opportunity for new performers to shine. So apart from, you know, I'm going to be watching Bitcoin flows pretty carefully. I'm going to be watching Spaghetti really closely as well. TLDR, you know, is the elections are very soon. So expect a lot of fuck you moves. I think that for any super active trading I'm doing, like let's say I run a Dalai Lama play tomorrow or today or something, I'm going to be aggressive about profit taking on that. I'm not going to be trying to, you know, buy a dip on the perp and then hold it for the next, you know, month, right? You know, if I want to do that, like I've talked about before many times, I'll split between spot and perp and hold the spot and sell the perp quickly. So all my active trading, I'm going to be aggressive profit taking right now because I do feel the uncertainty is basically at the maximum, right? I don't think that we will have a more uncertain time than the 2 weeks going into a major election like this. So that's pretty much it for me this week. Very happy with how things are playing out. Q4 thesis has some life in it. Let's pray that that you know, persists. Focused up on a couple of the really important alts. I think that memes and AI are the bread and butter still. Maybe RWA, but probably not. Probably just memes and AI. So that's going to be it for me. Good luck out there. Cheers, guys.